What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Healthy for the Holidays workshop series, where we're talking about 4 different areas that I really want to help you be consistent and healthy in during this season. And today we're talking about feelings, all the feelings that come up with the holiday season. It's a loaded situation. I know it's loaded. I know it's loaded. And so I want to just hone in on a few tips that I would suggest for you, knowing that everybody's situation is going to be different. I mean, it's just really complex when you combine the stress, financial stress, life stress, financial stress, family stress, the traditions that may come or not come with this time of year, and then also the expectations that we have of ourselves and of other people. Everything that comes with it can really lead to a lot of feelings, right? But couple of notable ones that I've noticed that may not be, well, I don't want to say they're not commonly talked about, but I think that, of course, naturally with the way the holidays are shared about commercially, in marketing and even on social media and stuff, it is a time to be very grateful, for whatever your family may look like. I mean, I do think there are some positives that we can pull from the season, of course, but it is hard. It is hard for a lot of us for a variety of reasons. And that also can include those happy feelings and experiences, can also include grief, resentment, sadness, loneliness. There's a lot of people who maybe you have set some boundaries with some of your family, or you do have relationships that are not in a good place, and so you've had to go no contact, or you're not going home like you usually do, or something like that. And so it can lead to a lot of loneliness. Honestly, whether you're with people or not, you can experience loneliness. And so it's some of those heavier emotions that don't always get as much airtime as the positive ones. And so I want to speak to that side of things and just how to take care of yourself and some things that you can do, just to tend to your emotional side during this time. And so the first thing I want to say is that sometimes we can feel like we have to just put a mask on and kind of just pretend like we're having a good time and pretend like, we have something going on, or that we are enjoying the people that we're around when we're really not. And so in doing that, I think that we can kind of do ourselves a disservice as to what we should be um, doing, implementing, and the supports that we need in order to get through. How do you really feel? You know what I mean? And so that comes down to you accepting your emotions. Okay. If you're grieving, name that. Okay. If you're lonely, name that. If you're sad, name it. If you're resentful, name it, and naming it doesn't make it any different. It doesn't mean that you're just gonna, go off the end, or tailspin out or have any sort of emotional breakdown necessarily. It just means that you are naming that this is an emotional experience that I'm having, you know? And in doing that, you can then access the coping skills that you need to help yourself work through whatever that emotional experience is. So acknowledging and accepting your emotions to say, wow, this season is really bringing up a lot of grief for me, allows for you to process and tend to that side of you. Okay. Even if you were to put a mask on it, it's still true. It's still true that there's some grief in your heart. It's still true that there's some loneliness. You know what I mean? And so naming it only sets you up for being able to cope with it in the healthiest way possible. And suppression is not necessarily the healthiest for our mental health overall. Allow your emotions to come out, whether that be through journaling, talking to someone, music, even if you're revisiting spaces and places that you haven't been in a while and it brings up emotions. Allow yourself to feel that full range of emotion. You know what I mean? It could very well be releasing and therapeutic to you to do so that maybe it's a little less intense, or it's a little bit more manageable as you continue to navigate this holiday season or for seasons to pass. I know that sometimes the holidays can bring up stuff that we haven't dealt with that happened 10, 15, 20 years ago, you know? And so showing up healthy during the holidays is to find ways to work through those emotions in safe, healthy ways with people that you can trust. The next thing that I would say, as far as acceptance, this entire thing is really around acceptance, accepting your emotions, number one. but also accepting your family. Now, accepting doesn't mean approval. It doesn't mean that you're cool with everything that's going on. It simply means that you are taking in the reality of who they are, where they are right here in this moment, not who they used to be, who you want them to be, who they could be, if only they would do this or if only they would do that. It's about accepting this is where my family, my loved one is. This is where my family is. This is where I am. Even accepting yourself where you are can help with navigating those feelings. I think that sometimes when we don't do that, we go into a situation with expectations that maybe they'll be different this time. Maybe they won't, for example, maybe they won't be under the influence the entire holiday season. And because we're going in with that, we start to maybe not set the boundaries that we need to with that. And so accepting that some family members are where they are, some friends, whatever, even if there's family that decided not to come into town, accepting that they've made a choice to navigate the holidays in the best way for them will allow and free you up to be present with what is. What did you decide to do for the holidays? Who are you choosing to be around? What healthy and progressive relationships can you pour into? When we stop trying to change what is, we can take more advantage of what is, if that makes sense. The last thing I will say is accepting your circumstances. The holidays kind of similar to like the new year, the holidays can kind of bring up a season of deep reflection on what you thought might be happening by now, what you had hoped would be happening. Again, with loss and grief. It can bring up a lot of what could have been or what should have been or how would things be if. And there's a place for that. And I think that processing your emotions can kind of help relieve some of that. But eventually we have to work to accept what is. In particular for people who may be watching this video who are newly divorced or aren't partnered going into the holiday season, that tends to be one of those, popular questions around the holidays is how's the relationship? How are y'all, or even or couples that are trying to have children and haven't had children yet, or any of those questions, circumstances, again, just life that may come up and questions that may be asked can bring up this feeling of that you're behind or that it shouldn't be happening or that that you shouldn't be where you are. And although those situations are unfortunate, tragic even, you know what I mean? Learning to accept that this is where I am now and that this is the process I'm going through and that it's okay to be here right now and in this space, whether that's grieving or lonely or whatever the case may be, can kind of help you navigate and not add to the negative self-talk that can really come along with having not done that type of work. So accepting your circumstances, also includes accepting other people, having compassion for other people's situations. And it's a two-way street. It's a two-way street of accepting yourself and what you have going on, but also accepting other people, which really is, when you think about it, when you think about love, when I think about family, and some of the principles that are around the holidays, it really is about that. It's not about judgment. It's not about measuring up and expectations. For some of our families, that may be how they are. But again, this is about you and your personal journey with some of this. And so you get to choose what values are important to you during this time. And although things may not be perfect, you can still, find a way to accept what you have going on, accept where you are in life, and find some good and some healthy, positive things that will help you to move forward. So again, I know that the holidays can be very hard on us emotionally. And so as referenced throughout the series, I 100% think that you need to take care of yourself before, during, and after. Literally, just always, always taking care of yourself from an emotional standpoint. So go ahead, if you're in therapy, go ahead and schedule your therapy sessions with your therapist in a way that is supportive of what you're going to be going through. If you're sad, depressed, isolated, grieving can be very easy to withdraw from those things. If you're stressed and busy, it can be very easy to withdraw from those things. But try to make that a non-negotiable if that's something that you're involved in. Okay. Set yourself up for success, even if you feel like you got it, right? Go ahead and put some preventative measures in place, and have some sessions that are scheduled throughout this so that you're processing and moving through and not just holding things up, waiting for a later time to talk them through. If therapy isn't an option for you, finding a support group, checking out some things online, following even some influencers and content creators that are speaking to the topic that you may have to navigate this holiday season is also a supportive thing to do, that can help you with your emotions, in addition to the things that you've already found that are helpful for you, coping skills of all sorts. Again, we always talk about journaling and meditation and prayer, and even volunteering can be a healthy way of coping and generating the love maybe and connection that you're wanting, generating that in a different way. Trying to stay connected with people who are healthy for you, or who you do, cherish their support during this time, is going to be beneficial to your emotional experience as well. But any other coping skills, which the worksheet that is going to accompany this video is going to be about your healthy coping skills, and just making sure that you have a plan of what you can do. Again, I want to emphasize before, during, and after the experience of the holidays. Always ongoing. Your mental health is always at play, whether it's in a good place, kind of like a middle ground, like it's all right, but it could be better place, or whether it's in a bad place. Those coping skills are the non-negotiables of your emotional experience. Okay. So those will look different for all of us. I also recommend having a variety. Sometimes people, just from me being in the fitness world, sometimes people are like, the gym is my place. That's what I do. I work out, I walk. And that's a very, that's a place of emotional release for them, and a very consistent one. Well, when you throw in the holidays and there's some other stuff going on, what are some other things that you can do if you're not able to get to the gym? We should all have different areas, different pockets of coping skills that can be applicable to the situation that we're thrown. Okay. And so, in this situation, going to the gym every time you're triggered is not necessarily going to be feasible, nor is it healthy really to go into the same coping skill all the time. Okay. So, you want to make sure that you have different coping skills in different realms, some of them emotional release, some of them to process a little bit more, some of them to distract, maybe even, and really just hone in on what do I need in this moment in order to not get rid of how I feel, but just to navigate how I'm feeling. Okay. So my general suggestion during this time when it comes to your feelings, there is a level of acceptance. Okay. Accepting your emotional experience, accepting your family. Again, not approval, but just accepting what is around all of these things, and then accepting your circumstances, and then activating coping skills that can help you navigate the reality of those three areas. Okay. So that is all I have for today. Be sure to follow the worksheet that accompanies this video. Thank you for joining me for the Healthy for the Holidays workshop series. I hope it's been beneficial to you, and be sure to take these principles with you wherever you go. All right. Thank you.